Hi and welcome to Valid Productions. Let's get started. You'll be making a low poly window today. This low poly window has two variations, double panel or single panel. Time for the setup. Start by using the shortcut tab to enter into edit mode. Bring the default cube on the Z-axis up by 1. Add a mirror modifier. Drag the cube over by 1 on the X. Select the top vertices and drag them up on the Z by 3. Now it's time for some loop cuts. Press Ctrl R, move your cursor to the top of the object and click and drag towards world origin, aka the center of the world. You might want to bring them just a bit closer. Select the entire loop and pull it in. Next, add 2 loop cuts to the center. Use your mouse wheel and scroll forward to add more than 1 loop cut at a time. Then spread them out. Now it's time for the same loop cuts but horizontally. Add 1 last pair of loop cuts, bring them in, and move them up, then slightly move them down using shift. Checkpoint. You are now at a checkpoint. Evaluate what you have done. We're not aiming for perfection, but you want to make sure your modeling looks very similar to this. If it doesn't, feel free to go back to the beginning to see what you may have missed. Before we move on to the next one, we need to delete some faces that are not visible. Select all with A and move the model on the X. Then select the inner faces and highlight the model, and hit X or delete faces. Lastly, move the object to the original point. Okay, moving on to extrusion. Select the inner faces, then press E to extrude them. Drag the cursor towards the model. Delete the middle faces. Select the cross in the middle and extrude and hold shift. Then repeat the process for the top faces. Checkpoint 2. Just want to say, if you've made it to this part, give yourself a pat on the back. This next section is just for aesthetics, so feel free to experiment. Now, before we move on into the next section, shrink down the model on the Y-axis. Shading. Head over to the material icon at the bottom and add a new material by hitting the plus icon and then hitting new. Select the 4 faces and click Assign. After that, change your color to blue or whatever color you believe would fit. This is good on its own, but we can go a little bit further in the shading tab. So let's hop over there. Firstly, delete the default Principled BSDF shader. Make sure your cursor is over the shadow window. Press Shift A to quickly access the Add tab. Go to the shader and look for Glass Shader. Open the Color tab and make it a bluish tint, and bring the roughness up just a bit. Moving on the white part of the shader, add a noise texture, add a RGB node, and add a mix RGB node. Attach the RGB color into color 1 on the mix node, and add the noise node to the mix node, and add the noise node color into the mix node. Then add a color ramp in between the noise texture and the mix nodes. The color ramp is a very useful tool. doing a bit of experimentation, turning FAC all the way and plugging the color from the color ramp into the roughness gives the window a marble-like look. But like previously stated, this is just for aesthetics, so experiment and see what works best for you. Checkpoint 4. Before we move on to the next section, head over to the modifier tab and click the Y on the mirror modifier. Variation. Now it's time for a single window. Very simple. Enter edit mode, select the vertices. Enter edit mode, select the vertical faces and delete them. Delete any additional faces surrounding the shaded glass. Select the edges on the glass panels and extrude them to the X origin. Then bridge any gaps that may be left. If you've gained something from this video, then can you do me a favor and give this video a like so it might reach someone else who could need this information? In addition to liking the video, you may also want to subscribe. You never know if another video from this channel may be of service to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.